Hey, thanks for checking out this video. This is my recap of the 2023 World Championships in freestyle wrestling. Today was day one. We had 4 weight classes going today: 61 kilograms, 70 kilograms, 86 kilograms, and 125 kilos. And America really balled out today. We had a great day. 3 of the 4 guys are going to be in the finals wrestling for gold. So that is 3 guaranteed medals for the United States. And we had Mason Paris make the semifinals, but actually dropped a heartbreaker in his semifinal bout, which I'll get into later. But all 4 Americans made the semifinals. That is an unbelievable day for the United States. So we did great. I'm excited to talk about our team and what we did and what we accomplished. But first, there's some things we got to get out of the way. If you have not been paying attention to the 2023 World Championships, there was quite a rather large hiccup today. Something that probably should never happen in an event like this happened today, and it was very frustrating for a lot of fans, me included. And I just wanted to go over what happened today and why. If you're on Twitter, Instagram, you might see some people that are fairly upset with UWW and Flow Wrestling. So I'll tell my personal story about what was going on. I got up early, 5:30 this morning, to start watching the qualifying rounds. We get into the quarters. All 4 Americans are in the quarters, so I decide I'm going to go live on TikTok just for fun, because why not? We win all of our quarterfinal matchups. It was awesome. It was a ton of fun. I'm telling the 8 or 9 people max that were in my TikTok live that, hey, I'm going to be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and I log off, and the first thing I do is I go to Instagram. I see that Bashamania has put out a post that the schedule change for UWW for the World Championships today has changed. The semifinals have gone from 1 p.m. Eastern time to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So the quarterfinals ended at about 10 a.m. and then they're starting the semis at 11 a.m. But most people thought that they were starting not till 1 p.m. So I was really happy that I saw that post from Justin Bash. It's about 10:55 a.m. and I'm going to go live on TikTok again because I said I would. And I turn on my computer and boot up Flow Wrestling, and Vito's out there, and he's already wrestling his match, and I turn it on just in time to see Vito get his hand raised and make the finals. And I was pissed. I was pissed off that they, first of all, they changed the time in general, and then even with the time change, they started earlier than they said they were going to. And it's just unacceptable at this point. For this level of competition, this is your frickin' Super Bowl. This is your WrestleMania. And you are going to go ahead and just change the time in the middle of the day, what time you're going to do your semifinal round. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, it's a UWW decision. Apparently, Flow Wrestling had nothing to do with it. However, Flow Wrestling's response was pathetic. It just was pathetic. Christian Piles put out a tweet at about 10 a.m. Eastern time. Sorry, semis are at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Schedule has changed. And then Flow Wrestling retweeted the tweet. They didn't pin it. They didn't make any other posts that I know of, that I'm aware of. And that was the extent of Flow Wrestling's communication with their fans, with people paying possibly $30 per month or $12.50 per month for a yearly subscription, which I am one of those people. I've been a subscriber of Flow Wrestling for years and years now. And every time they cover a major event, they do something like this. It's not always the same thing, but they always make some major error that screws everything up. And it's just an unacceptable fan experience. In my lifetime, NHL games, NBA games, NFL games, MLB games, when does the time change? When does the start of the game time change? It doesn't. It doesn't happen. Flow Wrestling needs to be advocating to UWW that you cannot do stuff like this. We are now streaming to thousands, if not millions of people, and they expect us to stick to the timeline that we have been pushing and building for the last few weeks. All right? Everybody knew 1 p.m. Eastern time is when the event or the semifinals are going to start. There's a lot of people who aren't going to get up early and watch those early rounds, but everyone wants to see the semis and the finals. And to do this on this day just speaks volumes to the entitlement of Flow Wrestling and the entitlement of UWW. It's an embarrassment. I was embarrassed for my 8 people in my TikTok live stream that I had told them that the semis were going to be at 1 p.m. and then they were at 11 a.m. I was embarrassed professionally in that way. And I feel like Flow Wrestling's like, you know, almost like, well, we do so much for wrestling. Okay, but you're not the little engine that could anymore. You're not three guys driving around in a van trying to interview Division I coaches. You're a corporation now, and you're the leading corporation in this industry, and you can't get it right on your streams. And it needs to change. You need to get it right every single time. That is the new expectation. Not, well, look at everything we do for wrestling. Okay, great. You do a lot for wrestling. It's awesome. I'm paying you money every month. This is your Super Bowl and you screwed it up. It is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. That the level of communication, that Justin Bash has a better level of communication of the time changes than the company does. How is every person in Flow Wrestling, how is every employee that is a talking head on their website, the people that are writing articles, the people that are making videos, the people that are making podcasts, how is every one of them not pinning the tweet, semifinals have changed? How are they not reaching out to other major wrestling creators? Ryan Warner, Justin Bash, Willie Saylor. How are those guys not getting a message from Flow Wrestling? Hey, FYI, the time has changed. Please tweet it out. People that are subscribed to us can see the event. All right, those guys want everyone to see the event too, no matter what the relationship is. I know that Willie Saylor has a very scorned relationship with Flow Wrestling, I think. That's my assumption. And I don't know what the relationship with the other big creators are, but you need to be a professional and work with these people. They have reach too. They can get to some of your subscribers that maybe aren't looking at your Twitter feed. Okay, the response from Flow Wrestling was unacceptable. I understand it might not have been their decision, but they are trying to sweep this and blame this onto UWW entirely, and that's just not the case. You are in charge of the stream. You bought the rights to the stream. You need to take accountability for the fact that you screwed up and didn't communicate to the fans that the semifinal times had changed, and that a lot of people missed those matches that really wanted to see those matches, that paid you $30 this month for those matches, that have been paying you $12.50 a month to see those matches for years and years and years, like me. I think I've had a subscription since like 2010, maybe longer than that. And it's unacceptable at this point. And they constantly have this like, woe is me, like not really taking accountability for the screw up. The one guy who really got in people's ears and would admit when mistakes were made was the founder of the company, Martin Floriani. He's not there anymore, which is a whole nother story, but he is the only guy that would come in and say, we screwed up, we did it wrong, the stream dropped, we're going to make it better, we're going to do it right the next time. And, you know, we don't get that now. Like, I don't know what I want, but I want some sort of accountability. I don't want, and we're sorry, it'll be better next time, and then they screw it up again. Flow Wrestling has got to do a better job. UWW has got to do a better job. And I almost had a cardiac event today while I was driving, because it just made me connect the dots with the whole development of our rule set is to make a better fan experience, right? Matches should be shorter. Matches should be more action-packed, so we can get matches finished and get the matches out there and get the event over with. If that is why we're designing our rule set and putting rules like criteria, which I have been very open about stating that criteria is the worst rule in the history of competition. It is a terrible rule. And the whole point of it, one of the major tenets that people use to defend it, is that it improves the fan experience by shortening the match, not forcing people to watch an extra overtime period, and shortening the event that keeps people engaged and excited. You can't tell me that that is what your rule set is designed around, and then you're going to go and change the time of your semifinal round the day of the event and say that you're trying to improve fan experience. I don't know what was going on in that building, but under no circumstances should that timeline have ever changed at all. It's ridiculous. People are paying money to watch the event. You do not screw your customers over like that. And that's exactly what UWW did. So any semblance, any argument of we're doing this to improve the fan experience, to get more eyes on our product, is ridiculous when they do crap like this and ruined the fan experience. And I was fortunate. I was one of the fortunate ones where I heard about it and was able to come on, and I'm still pissed off. If I had missed the entire round, I would be fuming. I would be fuming right now. And I'm already fuming. I'm already on fire. So, okay, I want to move on from this. Criteria is dumb, and this proved it. This helped prove it. This is just another thing, another connection of, do you really care about the fan experience? And you don't. Your actions show that you don't. So let's get into the actual matches. I was really focused on American wrestlers because I'm an American, so I have some notes here from the quarterfinals. Zayn dominated. He won 9-2. Really no concern. He was winning from wire to wire in this one, and he moved on to the semifinals, no problem. Vito at 61 kg scored a quick push out. He was wrestling Ogawa of Japan. He was able to get an exposure off Ogawa's shot and go up to 3-0. Ogawa actually challenged that and won that challenge. So Vito ended up going down, or I'm sorry, Vito was still winning, but it was 3-2. Vito, I thought Ogawa should have lost that challenge, actually. I was surprised that Vito ended up getting the points for it. Then Vito scores another push out, and we go to the break. Vito then scores another push out, which should have been a takedown. Oh, I remember this one. It was like a single leg. He kicked and tripped. They went out of bounds, and he collected both legs, and they just gave Vito one. Most referees are going to give two for that. Vito then scored another takedown off his single leg, and a step out to win the match. 8-2 was the final. Vito made the finals. Or, I'm sorry, the semifinals. Next up was 125 kilograms. This is another thing UWW does that doesn't really make sense, is they put things out of order, and which, whatever, it's probably not that big of a deal, except when we went to the semifinals, then they put everything in weight order. So we went 70, 61, 125, 86 in the quarters, and then in the semis, it's going to go to weight order 61, 70, 86, 125. Just a little bit wonky, not the end of the world, I guess. So Mason was wrestling Dang from China, who is a really good competitor, and I think maybe even had beaten Mason or one of our other heavyweights in the past. Mason got a step out almost immediately. They were kind of like under-over, and Mason ended up driving him out. And then Mason ends up, throughout the match, getting about 2 more step outs. It was a pretty boring match, not much going on, and then with like 15 seconds left, things really got exciting. The Dang snapped Mason down. Dang had a head pinch and rolled Mason through for 4 from his feet. As he did that, Mason then got in on his high C and finished with a kind of like a roll through fireman's for 4 of his own to put Mason back up 7-4. And I believe time expired, and Dang's corner challenged that call that Mason had scored 4. And Dang China obviously lost that challenge, so Mason won the match 8-4 and moved on to the semifinals. Really exciting last 15-20 seconds, but other than that, very skippable match. Anytime, Zayn and Vito get on the mat, very exciting to watch. 86 kilos, moving right on to David Taylor. Oh, his quarterfinal was nasty. I mean, it was a highlight reel. Every takedown was highlight reel worthy. They're in like a little bit of a scramble. He's front head standing, and he's wrestling Sharipov, and he hits a knee pick and puts Sharipov down on his hip hard. It was awesome. I put a TikTok out earlier today. You could check out, that has all of the takedowns from this match in it. Sharipov was then able to score a high crotch, really basic high crotch takedown on David to get the lead 2-2. Taylor then was able to score on his high crotch again 2 more times and went up 6-2. In this match, Taylor really used his high crotch a lot. His high crotch was wide open. He's kind of like a righty leg lead, so he was attacking Sharipov's right side. So in the second period, you could see Sharipov was just kind of gassed at this point and just trying to stay in the match a little bit. Taylor hit a nasty knee pick off an underhook to go up 8-2, and then 2 more high C's to score. And he was kind of going high C, hitting the corner, He would get his shoulder behind Sharipov's knee, almost like a shelf on like a single leg, and kind of circle behind and score. And he dominated to a 12-2 tech fall there. So the quarterfinals, obviously, it was a fun, exciting round to see all four Americans win and make it onto the semis. Let me see here. Zane. Zane's match was fun, but I didn't get notes from it from the quarterfinal, so I apologize about that. I didn't really start realizing I should start taking notes until that match was already over. So the semifinals, which started at 11 a.m., we started off again weight order this time, so we had Vito at 61 kilograms. He won by tech. I didn't see the match. He will have Magomedov of Russia in the finals. Magomedov will be under a neutral flag. His singlet will say AIN rather than RUS. It's 70 kilos. We had Yazdani Chirati of Iran versus Ramazanov. I did not write Ramazanov's country down. This is not Hassan Yazdani Chirati from 86 kilos. I think they're related. I think I heard they're brothers or cousins. So anyway, Yazdani pretty much dominated this one. He got the first takedown in the first 20 seconds. Got a couple turns, I think, to go up 6-0. Ramazanov got a takedown to go down 6-2. Yazdani got to his single leg to go up 8-2, then a step out. Ramazanov almost had a step out at the end of the first, but got white paddled because he ran out of time. After the break, Yazdani gets another takedown and a step out for the tech fall. So Yazdani kind of dominated wire to wire there, and he made the finals. And the next match was Zane versus Andresian from Armenia. Zane was pretty dominant in this one as well, but there was a really interesting situation that occurred. So Zane got a takedown really quick, beautiful little single leg, hit the shelf, and just textbook takedown. Zane was putting his legs in all morning, so he goes right leg in, and he kind of does like Dayton Fix does this. He goes leg in, he hips hard to one side, and then captures the arm. And rather than trying to go to a trapped arm, Zane went arm bar with it. And it looked like he was actually going to get like a regular old armbar turn. And this Armenian stands up while Zane has this armbar. And they're standing now, and Zane's on his back with his legs crossed around the midsection of the Armenian. And they're kind of looking like they might break or something. And Zane just basically rips the guy over to his back, and they give Zane 4 for it, which put Zane up 6-0. Armenia then challenged that call. They lost that challenge, and so Zane was up 7-0, and that was pretty much the match. Zane just kind of held on, played it safe for the rest of the match, and I think ended up winning 7-2 or 9-2 in the semis to make another world final. So he's going to have another medal, hopefully gold. He's going to have Yazdani Chirati in the final, so that is going to be a tough one. Yazdani Chirati did not wrestle last year, technically. He was in the tournament. He drew Israel first round, and Iran does not wrestle Israel. They do not compete against Israel, so Yazdani Chirati was forced to forfeit his first match, and he was done. So it'll be interesting. He was definitely one of the favorites last year and ended up not wrestling. But moving on, 86 kilograms, the first match, Shapiev of Uzbekistan against another Yazdani Chirati, the more famous Yazdani Chirati, Hassan Yazdani Chirati of Iran. And Yazdani dominated this match, basically wire to wire. He ended up getting a tech fall. So he ankle picks Shapiev early on to go up 2-0. Then he goes underhook to step out, underhook to, he tried a knee pick and switched to a single to go up 5-0. Then he got a underhook high crotch takedown to go 7-0. And then they went to the break, Yazdani up 7-0. The Uzbekistan wrestler was totally gassed at the break, and Yazdani did not look tired at all. So you could just kind of see how hard the hand fight is with Yazdani and how much it was wearing on him. Early on in the second, Yazdani gets to an underhook knee pick, 9-0, and a step out to get the 10-0 tech fall. Pretty early on, I think, in the second period. So Yazdani teched his way to the finals. David Taylor had Dulabekov of Kazakhstan. I'll say that again, Dulabekov. I'm sorry, I don't watch a ton of international wrestling. I watch the World Championships. but I'm not familiar with all these names, so they're a little tough for me. But anyway, Dulabakov really was not engaging in wrestling early in the match. He was really trying to keep distance. He was pushing Taylor away. Taylor would try to come in and get to a tie, and Dulabakov would push off of him. He took 0 shots, and I mean 0, like no attempts, 0 in the first period. Taylor, I think, was up 1-0 going into the break off a shot clock point, and I literally watching the match, I'm like, this guy's just going to lose 2-0. He's not even going to try. He's not going to engage at all with Taylor. Taylor was able to get to a single leg later in the second period. He went to a waterfall position, kind of came up, and was able to get a takedown to go up 3-0. Taylor hit a reshot, high C later on to go up 5-0, and then he was on top, and this is where the bar half occurred that you've hopefully seen the interviews about. If you haven't, you need to check them out. Flo, I think, posted them on Instagram and Twitter, but basically Taylor goes armbar, he sneaks in his half on his right side, and runs the Uzbekistan wrestler over and gets a fall in the semifinals to make the world finals. So we'll have Taylor Yazdani round 6 tomorrow. Should be an awesome match. I was thinking Yazdani, if his plan is to underhook David Taylor to death, I think David's going to pick him apart again. He needs to have a different game plan than what he's shown thus far against David Taylor, because last year he would go to that hard underhook. David would pinch and circle out right to an attack, and he was very successful with it last year. So, I mean, if Yazdani is just going to double down on his underhook, I think David Taylor's going to be in a really good spot. I think we're going to be looking really good. But you have to kind of, I guess, be ready for anything. Yazdani, I think, should change his game plan, but, you know, I'm not on the Iranian coaching staff. Those guys know what they're doing. They are really freaking good, so we'll see what happens, but I've got Taylor picked all the way from what I've seen thus far. I don't see anything that would lead me to believe that Yazdani Tiradi can beat David Taylor tomorrow. Moving on to 125 kilos, we had the three-headed monster along with Mason Paris, who I think is really the 4th best guy in the world, and maybe even going to crack into the top 3 very soon. But the first match was Taha Gul of Turkey against Zari of Iran. Zari went up 1-0 on the shot clock. These guys were like 2 pit bulls fighting each other. They were clubbing the crap out of each other, moving each other, but there really wasn't any attempts for takedowns. So Zari was 1-0 on the shot clock at the break. Zari gets another shot clock point in the second, and then Agol finally has to do something and ends up losing the match 4-0. Not the most entertaining bout in the world, but you could see those guys were like frickin' going at each other. So nice match by Zari, but not a ton of action on that one. So then our guy Mason against Gino Petriashvili came up of Georgia, and in my opinion, this was the best match of the day. And unfortunately, we didn't come out on the best side of it, but Mason really wrestled his butt off. Petriashvili, I thought this was a great matchup for Mason because I watched Petriashvili's, I don't know if it was his quarterfinal, I think it was actually his qualifying round match, and he was down 4-0 against the Russian, and the Russian was much smaller, more athletic heavyweight, and I thought the Russian guy was going to beat Petriashvili, and Petriashvili ended up coming back and winning 6-4, but it was a pretty heroic comeback, and so I thought that was good for Mason. Mason's an athletic heavyweight. He's not the biggest heavyweight in the world, but I think that made me feel more confident that Mason could go with Petriashvili. But right away, Petriashvili got to Mason's leg to a high C and ended up scoring on a step out. But Mason was really able to keep his balance like pretty incredibly well and kind of break Petriashvili's lock and get to a standing position, but he just ended up stepping out. Right off the whistle after that step out, Mason hit a nice double leg and took Petriashvili down and took the lead, and he had the lead for the pretty much almost the rest of the match till the very end, maybe till there was about 20 or 30 seconds left. So they go to the break 2-1. So this all happened probably in the first, 40 seconds. So they went about 2 minutes without any scoring and no real attacks from Petriashvili or Mason for the rest of the first period. In the second, Petriashvili Petriashvili gets to a single leg on Mason, defends, and ends up scoring a step out. This was a weird one. Petriashvili's driving Mason to the edge. Mason kind of breaks the lock just like he did in the first period and kind of twists in, and Petriashvili steps out. Petriashvili's corner challenges the call. They lose the challenge, but they took forever. They were trying to really find the evidence, but I think there just wasn't enough evidence to overturn the call. So Petriashvili lost another point. So Mason was up 4-1 at that point, and it was looking really good. But right away, Petriashvili turned it on, and you could tell he was going real hard. A lot of clubs to the head, and blasted off a single leg and ended up scoring pretty clean on Mason to cut the lead down 4-3. Petriashvili then again gets to Mason's leg. Mason's kind of just sprawling and defending, but then he went chest wrap, brought his hips in, and actually used that chest wrap to roll Petriashvili through for 2 points, and then he bailed and gave up a reversal point, which extended Mason's lead from 4-3 to 6-4. So it was a nice little exchange for Mason. He was looking good. There was about a minute left when that happened. Petriashvili got to another single leg, and this one was a high crotch. Mason tried the chest wrap again, and this time Petriashvili was ready for it. And when Mason brought his hips in, he could tell right away he wasn't going to get it. He tried to go back to sprawl, and Petriashvili was able to kind of double off and finish, and that put Mason down 6-6 on criteria. And after that, he just wasn't really able to get anything going. He took one more shot with about 15 seconds left and got stuffed and put to his back and lost the match 8-6. But Petriashvili was very jacked about getting the win, and you could tell he had some doubts at some points in that match that he wasn't going to be able to do it. But Mason, it sucks he lost, but what a match and what effort he put out there going up against a guy like Petriashvili and taking him to the limit and almost getting the W. It really makes you feel like high hopes for Mason. He's got one of the best coaching staffs in the world in Michigan, Sean Bourmet. I was fortunate enough to be coached by Sean Bourmet for part of my time in high school, and he turned Illinois. I don't know if he turned it around, but I mean he put Illinois freestyle wrestling on the map. So Sean Bourmet, having that guy in your corner, Chirella in your corner, the things those guys are willing to do. Mason Paris, I think Mason Paris could be a world and Olympic champion. With what I saw today, the sky's the limit for Mason. So just kind of depends on continuing to make teams. If Gable comes back, that's going to be a huge challenge to overcome for Mason. But anyway, he's wrestling for bronze tomorrow. That's the important thing. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So he'll wrestle for bronze. Our other three guys, Vito Verujao, David Taylor, and Zane Rutherford, are all wrestling for gold. So we should have a great day tomorrow. Thank you for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Click the bell for notifications. I really appreciate you checking out the video, and have a great day.